All right, so we've covered the outside of the RV. Now let's move inside and let's talk about what are the controls inside here. So one thing you'll first notice is we open the door. The door is just going to stop there. So don't try to push the door all the way open. This is where the door naturally will stop. Okay. On the door there's a screen door that's released here, and it'll close there. Open and close. Just the screen is that lever there. It'll automatically connect to the main door, and that will slide, so I have access from the inside. As we move inside, you'll notice there's a power awning attached to the RV. This power awning is controlled by inside the stairwell. There is an extend and a retract switch here. So obviously, to extend the awning, I hit the extend button, and if we look outside, we'll start to see the awning extend. Because this is powered by these motors, you don't have to do anything, but it's not super fast. Just be patient, let it fully extend. Once you see that kind of rain gutterish flap fall down, you know I'm extended. Okay? Now, one other feature of this particular type of awning is that you can adjust the pitch. So if you look at this label here, it simply just says pull down to adjust the pitch. So it's tension based. So if I want to adjust the pitch of my awning, all I do is pull that down and the tension will hold it in place. I don't have to fasten it, I don't have to click anything in. The tension will hold that in place. If I need to raise it up, lower it down. Okay, on a windy day, our recommendation is don't leave the awning up, especially if you're not with the RV. If you've left the RV to go sightseeing or to go into town or do something, close the awning. A slight windstorm can make this thing a kite. It can rip and tear this awning, and so please avoid that. To close the awning, make sure we've leveled out our pitch. Go back into the stairwell, hit retract, and as you notice, it's going to retract. It's going to be slow as it goes. Just let it do its thing. So you know the awning's fully retracted when you pull it down and the motor will stop itself. After that, let go of the switch and you're secure. So that is the awning. One more thing I'll point out as we go up the stairwell is underneath this second step here, that's our battery storage. So we have 2 batteries in this RV unit. This is where they're located. Next to the awning extend and retract, there is going to be this battery disconnect. So this is for when we're storing the RV unit. If I hit the store down, it disconnects all battery power to the entire RV unit. I make mention of this is because this might accidentally get bumped. And you might try to turn on the light, you might try to use something in the RV and there's just no power. The first thing I'd have you go look at is go flip this switch to use. Maybe somebody has accidentally tripped that, and that will restore power to the entire RV. So that's sometimes a little tricky, but if that gets bumped to store, all you have to do is flip that back on to use. These other 2 switches are outdoor lights. The first switch here, you flip that, and you notice underneath the awning there's an LED bar. that will turn on the LED lights underneath the awning. The second switch is this outside door light that will turn on. Okay, now that we're inside, we're going to turn on some lights. Lights for the main coach are located just underneath this cupboard. And as we do that, here's going to be our main kind of brain, or the RV Central. And so this first control panel is going to be the control panel to extend and retract the slide. We'll do that in just a second. This is going to be also how we control the tank heaters. Again, these, you're not going to need to use these. These should be to the off position. The only time that these are used is if we're in freezing conditions and we need to heat the tanks. So these should be an off. The water pump. So if I'm not hooked up to power at an RV site, I'm going to need to use the water pump. The water pump will help pressurize the lines based on the battery, so that I can have plenty of water pressure. So do not keep this water pump on. So when you're using the water, turn the water pump on. I'm using the bathroom. If I'm using the shower, if I'm using the sink, I'll turn the water pump on. When I'm finished using those things, I want to turn the water pump off. If I keep it on, the water pump will continue to go here and there to keep the line pressurized, and it'll use up the battery. And so to make your battery last longer, when you're not hooked up to again, power, make sure that water pump is off. If I've got a connection, water connection from my RV site, I don't even need to turn the water pump on. That connection pressurizes the lines itself. So this is only for if I'm camping in a spot where I'm not hooked up to power and water. Here's the water heater. So once I parked in my camp spot, I want to flip the power or the water heater on. So I'll do the LP gas on. After a few seconds, you should hear the water tank fire up, and it'll take 10-15 minutes, and there's about 10 gallons of water in that water heater, and it'll start to get warm and hot. If I'm hooked up to 110 volt, I hit on, and it'll automatically heat that water heater for me as well. So it'll either be on gas or electric. The other buttons right above this, you can see these are indicators on levels. So this is my natural gas, the LPG. If I hit LPG, it'll show me what my natural gas or my propane tank level is. Right now we're about empty. So once I've got it filled up, it'll be full, and as I use it, I can monitor how full my propane tank is by hitting LPG. My battery. If I hit my battery button, again, because we haven't charged this up, we're at empty, but this will help me know where my battery levels are. It also tells me my fresh water tank, my black water tank, and my gray water tank. Black water is your sewage water. So that's everything from the toilet goes into the black tank. The gray tank, everything from the sinks and the shower go to the gray tank. Okay? So that's how you differentiate between the black and the gray. Again, be careful and watch that black tank. The last thing you want to do is, if you're not hooked up to an RV spot where you have the sewage going into their drain, you're going to want to watch that. Make sure you're not too full there on the black tank before you have to dump the RV. The last component on this panel is the generator. The generator, similar to outside, there's a stop and a start. To prime the generator to start, I actually will move the switch to stop, and I'll hold it. I'll hold it there until the light turns red, then the generator's primed. To start the generator, I push and I hold the start button. You can hear the generator kick on, you can see the lights kind of flash. Let the generator run for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden you'll hear that there'll be kind of a pull on the generator, and you'll see the lights on the microwave and things flip on, and that's when you know you've got full power to everything based on the generator. So now you can see the lights just flickered, the microwave is flashing. I now have full power based on the generator. This shows me my hours used, so you can monitor the hours that you're using there. Now with the generator on, let me go ahead and show you the air conditioning. Again, the air conditioning is only going to work when you plugged into power or you have the generator on. This is the central air conditioning unit, and it's controlled here at this thermostat. So to turn the AC on, just like every other thermostat, I'm going to go to cool. I'm going to set my temperature, and it's going to go. I can have the AC come through all these ducts, so the RV is full of these vents and ducts, and so the AC and the heat are going to be led through those. Now if I want to cool the main cabin section really quickly, what I can do is I can pull these vents open, and it will pour most of the cold air through this main cabin instead of the ducts. There'll still be a little bit of air coming through the ducts, but it's going to pour most of the cold air here. So if I really need to cool off the main cabin of the RV quickly, I'm going to flip these switches there. Now conversely, the heat works very similar. I turn the heat, and I set my temperature. If I turn my fan to auto, it's going to be based on that temperature. What's going to happen is you'll feel the heat kick on, and you're going to feel it mainly through the ducts on the bottom here. So these black ducts, you're going to start to feel heat coming through. There's a few other ducts on the ground. There's one on the edge there, right behind your knee. And those ducts again are throughout the RV, and so that's how you work the heat. To turn the system off, obviously you just go to the off. All right, now the last thing that we'll show here is the auto leveling system. So this coach comes equipped with an auto leveling system. The jacks are outside. We'll point those out in a minute, but I want to teach you how to use this. So you've pulled into camp. Obviously you're going to try to get as level as possible before you've parked the RV in its permanent spot. Once you've got your RV in the permanent spot with the motor running, so here are the keys. The motor needs to be running. The emergency brake needs to be on. With the motor running and the emergency brake on, I come over to the electronic leveling system. I click on. It should tell me ready, the jacks are up, and all I have to do is press the auto leveling button. Now this is going to take a minute as it levels. As you're doing this, you want to make sure that maybe you are the only one in the coach. Everybody is outside, that you remain still, and you're going to be patient as it does its thing. You're going to start to feel the RV move back and forth. That's okay. It's not going to tip. It's not going to do anything. Just ride it out as the system lowers the 4 jacks to levelize. One thing to make note of is as you're outside, maybe before you even level, you can see where the jacks are. Just make sure there's not a rock underneath where those jacks are going to come down. Make sure there's a nice spot for those jacks to levelize. As I showed you in that very first cubby, there are those yellow platforms. A lot of times, if you're maybe on some gravel, not on cement or asphalt, you might want to slide one of those platforms underneath where the jack's going to come down, just to give it a nice level base to be able to level it down on. So Auto leveler systems now says it's done. The jacks are down. We should be good to go. Now let's walk outside and see what it looks like. Okay, so as you notice, you can see these two rear jacks are down all the way to the ground. They're in good position, good level position, ready to go. You'll also notice the front jacks are also down. They're in great place. You're now at this point level and ready to put out the slide and begin your camp trip. Okay, now that they're down, fast forward, you're done with your camp trip, you're ready to move on. In order to raise those jacks, what you need to do is come back to this panel, make sure the panel's on. All you need to do is press and hold the retract button. As you press and hold that retract button, let go, and it's going to automatically pull up all of those jacks. Once the system is finished doing its job, walk around the RV and make sure all those jacks are up. You can press off. It's giving me a low voltage error just because of the low battery in the RV right now. But we are good to go. Jacks are up. I can turn the system off and we're done. So that's how you levelize or use the auto leveling. You don't have to use the auto leveling if you feel like you've pulled into a nice level spot. The coach itself is pretty secure, but if you'd like to use the auto leveling, this is the way you do it. All right, now with the coach parked and secure, we're ready to extend the slide. Now the entire side of this RV is one slide. And so over on the panel, you'll see the slide extend and retract. Okay, so it's very simple. All I do is hit the slide extend, make sure everything's out of the way, make sure nothing is outside of the RV, a tree that it can hit. But this slide will extend and extend, extend. One of the keys to the slide is either the slide needs to go all the way out or all the way in, not halfway. So make sure I've got plenty of room to get the slide out. Now notice, it stops on itself, by itself. I'm still pushing the extend button, but it has stopped. So I can continue to just hit that extend button. The motor will automatically stop when it's in place. To retract the slide, same thing. I hit the retract button. I make sure there's nothing in the way here. It's going to slide. I keep holding the button. I keep the button down, and the motor will automatically stop when it's in position. Once I hear the motor stop, now that's when I take my hand off the retract button. So that's the slide. All the way out or all the way in, but nowhere in between.